Number one, they have to. They have a limited set of tools. Interest rates are a key tool, so you got to pay attention to interest rates. So there are limitations there. I mean, they've tested negative rates. Not that we're definitely going to negative rates. There's not one little doubt in my mind. But if you're a consumer-driven economy, you have to have enough consumers to consume.
Yeah.
So they've got to do UBI. They 100% have to do. I really thought that they would have done it last year. I can't tell you what the time frame is. Timing's always, I can tell you what's most likely to happen. I just can't tell you it'll be Tuesday morning at 8:35. But if it was Tuesday morning at 8:35, I will be as surprised as everybody else, but not shocked. Okay?
Right.
So yes, 100%. They have to do it because it's not like they're creating new jobs. Mm-hmm. We have just been experiencing massive job disruption and destruction because the mom and pops employed about 50% of the population. And so many of them died during this whole COVID thing, and they're not coming back. And that means those jobs aren't coming back. So, and the new system that we're transitioning into, that lovely digital system, does not require the same level of labor. It requires more education, but it just doesn't require the same level. I mean, you've got an autonomous driving car. Do you really need all those drivers? No. Well, for one thing, just watching what's happening in the physical and digital silver market, that could definitely push everything over. I mean, especially if more and more entities stand for delivery of the silver, so it can break the back of the bullion banks, no doubt about it. In which case, everything that I'm about to say is sped up a lot, because that would be a major disruption. But I think 2021 and 2022, aside from that, extremely fascinating years, because remember that we have about 640 trillion in notional value, which means nobody really knows the value at risk, of those derivative contracts that have to transition to that brand new system that was created and they couldn't get us to adopt. And all of that was supposed to be completed by the end of this year. But when they ran the test in October on 80 trillion of it, shortly thereafter they came in and said, we're going to do this little teeny piece over here that's not relevant, but the big chunk of it we're postponing till 2023. So that means that they have a lot of work to do this year, next year. Do I think they can do it? No, I do not. It's a big fat experiment. And as brilliant as some of those guys are, they're not stronger than Mother Nature. And the real key in here for timing is going to be on public confidence, which is one of the reasons why I think UBI will come in sooner than later, because that will keep the masses quiet. If all of a sudden, they're having trouble paying their rent and they get a check for $4,000 a month, and now they can pay their rent, at least for the moment, because rents are going to go up from there. But at least for the moment, that will quiet the masses if they can feed their families, if they can pay their rent and keep a roof over their families' heads. But it won't last, and it won't work indefinitely, because that's when the hyperinflation will start. So I think, and it may have already begun. I can't tell you that. I'm not 100% there, because I'm looking at the monetary velocity, how quickly money changes hands, which is an indication of how confident that I'm going to have more money coming in. And so therefore, I'm more willing to go out and spend it on things. And it has had a recent spike, but it needs to be pervasive. Along from 97, that's really when we had peak monetary velocity. And that also means taking on debt was actually economically stimulative. But it hasn't been since 97. So it's not that any of this is new. The point is that we are at the end. And I don't think the currency lasts through 2023. I don't think so. I'm hoping that I really am. I'm hoping that they can keep this game going, because when they can't, it's going to be extraordinarily painful for most people. Food is the single biggest issue for people. So that's why I have my gardens. I mean, you're seeing stuff from the gardens. I've got cabbage leaves and chamomile, and these are peaches. I couldn't believe she picked my peaches because they're so yummy. Like, you picked my peaches. She's like, you'll have plenty of peaches. But, I know I'm going to be able to eat, and I know I'm going to be able to feed a lot of people, but I can't. If I could, I'd feed the world, honestly, but I can't quite manage to do that. So we all need to really recognize where we're at risk and where we are vulnerable, and put ourselves in a position, get rid of that risk. If it's food insecurity, if it's wealth preservation, if it's, and coming together as a community, which is the way I view our work together, is creating and building that community. We have to help each other. We have to stand up and we have to come together and be stronger than we would be all on our own. So maybe I grow, but maybe you're a good plumber. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. And that's the danger. Now, is it a danger to me personally? No, because I'm growing my own food. And maybe I don't get to eat avocados because I haven't been successful at growing an avocado tree, though I've tried, and I don't know that I've given up yet. But, maybe I don't get to eat my avocados that I love, but I'll still have cabbage and lettuce and broccoli and, other things that I can eat, and fish, and, because I'm growing them. So not everybody can do that, but there is actually a way to do it regardless of the space that you have. And I think it's critically important for people to be prepared if they can't get their avocados. If they can't get that, okay, well, what else can I eat that I can create?